"Oh, magic dagger, show me where Horus is." But, Set's like 10 feet behind me and I don't want him to know what I'm doing.
Ha! Are you trying to contact Horus?
No.
Yes, you are.
What?
Yes. When are you going to stop lying to me?
No, Set, no.
Back to the castle. Don't you do it. No.
Up yours!
Ah! What's up, all you movie lover badasses? Fat Samurai Guy here with Lady Fat Blood, and today we are going to review Gods of Egypt. Here's a quick plot synopsis.
From the writers that brought us Dracula Untold and The Last Witch Hunter, Gods of Clusterfuck. Follow Scottish Set and Danish Horus as they battle to become the rightful king of the whitest and most computer-generated Egypt to date.
If you have seen the trailer to this movie, you've pretty much seen the movie and you know exactly what to expect.
Every once in a while, once in a generation sometimes, a movie comes along that is amazing. In some way, shape, or form, it redefines what the term cinema going means. It's almost like a light just switches on and suddenly the world recognizes it and collectively goes, huh? This movie is baffling to me on so many levels. I can't even begin to describe to you my thoughts on this film. He showed me the trailer a couple of months ago thinking I was going to rip it to shreds because I'm kind of picky when it comes to blockbusters and CGI spectacles. I don't buy it. And when I see a trailer spewing bullshit in my face, I call bullshit. And so he thought I was going to demolish this thing, and as soon as this thing was over, he's looking at me like waiting for me to just kind of like rip it apart, right? I remember very distinctly saying, wow, that was god-awful. Why do I want to see it? I have been legitimately looking forward to this, and I think it's because I knew how bad it was going to be. If you saw this trailer and thought, wow, that looks like a really good movie, I hope you have good life insurance.
Damn it.
This movie is simply confounding on how it was made, why it was made, who was it made for?
Mm-hmm.
The basic of most basic threads you can follow is the god Horus and the god Set are duking it out. Osiris has ascended his power to his son Horus, and in comes Set, who is Osiris's brother, and he says, wait a minute, I'm stronger, I'm more powerful, I deserve the throne. He's the villain, it's what he does. They duke it out for a brief second or two, and Set kills Osiris in front of everybody, in front of the whole Egypt, who is perfectly fine with the fact that there are 8-foot-tall gods walking amongst them. Perfectly fine with the fact that they can transform into these Transformer rejects and are perfectly just, this is okay, this is real life for them. It's hey, it's no big deal. They don't give a shit, they're honey badgers. And so Set kills Osiris, and then Horus takes up the mantle and is like, no, fight me. And so they fight. Set whoops Horus's ass. He rips out his eyes, and there we've got the beginnings of our film. What they had to do, because you can't have a movie just about gods of Egypt and a movie called Gods of Egypt, they give us these two human characters to follow by the name of Beck and Zaya, played by, doesn't matter. They will, for now, be referred to as dull and duller at this point. The only difference is one has a set of tits and the other doesn't. And so we were following them, and in one of the most lackluster, uninspired, unbelievable relationships you can fathom. They are the ones we are actually supposed to be rooting for. In fact, the character of Beck is narrating the majority of this film, and we are supposed to be witnessing this story through his eyes, of all people, like, because we give a shit.
Yes, bootleg Aladdin and boobies. We're supposed to care about their love. Yes, come on. You know, as soon as bootleg Aladdin walked in right in the beginning to talk to boobies, we were already like checked out. We were already like, oh god. We had some goofy, corny, wannabe music, and we love Marco Beltrami. He's a really good composer, but it's just like, it is. I mean, this was like right in the beginning.
But to be fair, it really helped set up the tonal inconsistencies with this movie. This movie could not figure out if it was a romance, if it was an adventure, action, buddy, team up, epic, something. It had no idea what it wanted to be. It had no idea what it was, but by God, it was convinced that you were going to eat it up.
Oh yeah. This movie was so big, bright, and loud, and everyone's performance was loud that they were just screaming, "You will love it! You will love all the grandeur and the epicness of this film, yes! Buy all our tickets, yes, it will be a grand hit." This could be one of the very first times where I have come across a film, okay? And I was watching the movie, and I turned over and said to her, "Man, this is one of the most expensive but yet crappy looking films I've ever seen." I mean, you can tell the whole opening throwdown fight and the crowning of the king and all that. I mean, you could tell there was some budget there. You know, some parts of the CG Egypt actually looked pretty good, looked decent. And you could see some props, you could see some sets, and then all in the far back is like horrible bullshit green screen that stood out. I mean, some of the CG in this movie was bad. I'm talking like we're laughing. We laughed.
Oh, we had a glorious scene where basically the character of Beck has been talked into by his girlfriend Boobies to go steal the eyes of Horus back, because what's happened is Set has taken over, and he's not simply overtaken where they are, but he's going out and conquering all these other places because he wants his father Ra to recognize him. And so Boobies talks Beck into going into one of these temples and stealing the eyes back, and so they find this map, and it's supposed to be all exciting and all of that. So he goes into this chamber in what appears to be a platforming game from 1997, and he falls into this pit of scorpions and is suddenly surrounded by what appears to be a PlayStation 1 cutscene.
Yeah, the scorpions sucked. They look like shit. I mean, they may have looked worse than the scarab beetles from the very first Mummy movie.
Yeah, you know, I've never seen stop-motion CGI before.
So far in the movie, we were already really annoyed by Boobies and bootleg Aladdin. That we didn't care about anything they were doing in the whole movie, okay? So keep in mind, he steals Horus's eye, only one eye, okay? Goes back to Boobies to let her know, hey, I got the eye, I'm gonna try to find Horus, give it to him so he can fight Set. But Boobies' master was there awaiting with Egyptian soldiers to retrieve whatever Beck stole.
Egyptian soldiers.
Yes. Beck then uses the eye and they escape. Now, while they were escaping, they were in the chariot and they had this, you know, music, adventure music.
We're getting away, yes, we're getting away.
And what annoyed us so much was that they were both too happy. Even after Set put them into slavery. And we're like, slavery? Evil Set, like, took over? I guess it didn't affect them at all. So we were already annoyed by them. So while they were, we're getting away, Boobies turns around, and all of a sudden an arrow hits her right in the chest, and me and her in the theater went, yeah! Yes! At the same unplanned time.
Because we're evil.
Yes, it's fun. But of course, we already knew that she wasn't gonna die. She was gonna come back at the end, and they were gonna be in love and all this bullshit.
To this movie's credit, and another reason I find it so confounding is the same thing. I can't understand Alex Proyas, the director of The Crow and Dark City and even I, Robot, even said himself that this movie does not take place in ancient Egypt. It's just based loosely on Egyptian mythologies. And what I found really fascinating was that, to an extent, yes, there was certain elements in here that were very much loosely based on certain mythologies in Egypt, certain characters in Egypt. For instance, you have Horus and Hathor there together. I found one of the things that I found really interesting was the character of Ra, played by Jeffrey Rush.
He was a badass in this film.
He was a big old white badass. And what I found was the funniest thing ever. Okay, basically the character of Ra, he is the sun god of Egypt. He is the bringer of sun. So in the stories, he brings the sun across the sky throughout the day, and then it sets on the other side, and then he goes away, and it's nighttime. In the movie, he is in this kind of ship above the earth, which is actually represented as being flat, which I thought was a really good touch. I've never seen an interpretation of the earth being flat. That's what everybody believed back in the day. And so he's on his ship, and he's got this giant chain attached to the sun as he's dragging it across the earth to represent the daylight. I found that shit really interesting, and I was like, hey, props, that's kind of cool. And every night in the story, I believe, he fights the bringer of chaos, Apophis. He just fights him off so that he can't access the world and the humans that Ra and Osiris and everybody created. Well, that's interesting.
Yes. So keep in mind, she knows a little bit of Egypt mythology, okay? So I don't, okay? So keep in mind, in the theater watching this, I was like, oh yeah, Jeffrey Rush, yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, we got this old dude on some ship over flat earth with a spear fighting off this big, huge vagina tremors looking thing with teeth coming at it. And the whole time I was like, I have no idea what's happening right now, but this is awesome.
Nikolaj Coster-Waldau, who I will now be referring to as a Kingslayer because I'm sure I just butchered his Danish name.
Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones.
I feel like of all of the cast members, he was probably the most charismatic in terms of he had to carry a lot of this movie. It did end up being a buddy-buddy film, and they tried really hard to have this chemistry between him and the Beck character. And it was serviceable,
yeah,
but it was still, there were a lot of wah-wah comedic moments. I felt like this movie missed all of the marks that they were going for, but managed to hit several others that they never even tried. And so you got him. He was pretty good. You got Gerard Butler, aka the Orange Goblin, being so gloriously and deliciously over the top that I feel like some people in this movie knew that they were making shit, and they were like, I'm gonna eat it up.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was ridiculous, but he was a lot of fun to watch. Some people were trying to bring kind of a quiet dignity to the film. Now, I don't know if that was for their sake or the film's sake. You had Elodie Young, who played Hathor, who's kind of Horus's love interest. She, I haven't seen her in a whole lot yet. I think I've only seen her in G.I. Joe 2. I'm so sorry, sweetie. You're gonna do great in Daredevil, I promise. And she was fine. I thought she did a pretty decent job for what she had to work with. And another unfortunate up-and-comer, Chadwick Boseman, played the god Thoth. So sorry if it's not pronounced that way. I'm not Egyptian, clearly. He was kind of just there at first, and he was with the gods at the very beginning. He was there with the usurping of the throne by Set, and then he disappeared, and I thought, oh, okay, there goes that guy. No big deal. And then he showed up towards the end of the movie, and he was actually one of the more legitimately entertaining parts of the film, where it was supposed to be somewhat comedic, and it actually hit. He was actually kind of funny. He had this really interesting presence. His gimmick was he was trying to gain all of the knowledge of the world, and so he had like dozens of himselves walking around. And his mannerisms were very funny. He had this thing where he had his hands always rigidly behind his back.
Or like this.
Yeah, they another interesting thing was they had the Sphinx and the riddle. That's another part of Egypt mythology, and they trick Thoth, who's very proud about his knowledge.
Huge ego.
Yeah, and so they trick him, and he ends up going along in the adventure at the end of the film. So there were some things in here that were like, okay, well, that's all right.
It's progressing the film along.
And you know, some people have complained about the length of this film. I honestly did not realize this movie was over 2 hours long. Primarily because I was having such an insanely good time watching one of the greatest pieces of shit, legitimate, unironic, unintentional shit. I don't know if I've had this much fun in a theater watching a god-awful film. And the movie kind of flew by for me.
But now I'm sure all of you out there are like, well, everything else is shit. Is the action good? And I'm here to tell you guys, okay, that the action in this fucking movie is definitely... Well, there was that one time where they had the god battle on the...
And then they were in the ship, and then the Ra did the... And then Anubis did the holding back the chaos.
We had the camera zoom around, bootleg 300 Matrix style with Jamie Lannister holding a punch to someone's face, and
you had the guy swinging on the rope, and he looked like a cartoon character.
I mean, it was serviceable. It wasn't great. Okay, even the end throwdown, I was at least hoping that there would be, you know, a big God versus God rematch. It was kind of that, but I thought their fight wrapped up way too quick and easy, man. At this point in the film, Set is like the fucking shit. Set collected all these items, okay, video game style, okay, and has upgraded, all right, to level 5,000, okay. He kicked Jamie Lannister's ass in the beginning. I mean, I know he cheated, but he still kicked his ass in the beginning, but now he's even more powerful. He took on Ra. Set took on Ra and whooped Ra's ass. But somehow, because the movie felt it was convenient for, you know, Jamie Lannister's character to... I love humans now.
I've been on my journey.
I'm not
as a person.
I'm not an arrogant god anymore. I love humans now, and I'm gonna save, you know, rescue back here for trying to help me. And it was just time. The movie was just, it's just time now for the good guy to beat the bad guy, and that was it. There was no creative, haha, I got you, Set. No matter how powerful you are, I figured a way to beat you. No, he just beats him. That's it. It's over. It was so lame.
Yeah, something you gotta remember about this movie is I haven't seen this much fully environmental CGI since the prequels. We are talking, the people were real, some of the clothes were real, and that's about it. I would be very hard pressed to find some actual landscapes that were real. This was a CGI vomit fest. This movie cost $140 million, and we have yet to discover what they spent this money on.
Yeah.
They even filmed this movie in Australia for the tax breaks that they received there. Where did this money go? I think we need a change.org petition started now. Where did the budget for Gods of Egypt go? You know, a lot of people have also criticized this movie for the whitewashing that took place. And I gotta say, it didn't matter.
No, it wouldn't have mattered.
You know, Denzel Washington, Michael B. Jordan, Morgan Freeman, and Idris Elba could not save this movie.
No.
Okay, Morgan Freeman could have played Raw, Idris Elba could have played Set, and Michael B. Jordan could have played Beck. I want to see that movie.
I know.
Oh, fuck, I'm a little pissed now. You could have taken the finest actors Egypt has to offer. And not only would they have been blamed for this movie being a box office bomb, because that's what people do, they blame the actors, but you wouldn't have been doing them any favors. Believe me, this is one of those movies where, yes, I love diversity in casting. I love actors from all over the world. I love seeing what different people from different backgrounds can bring to a film. I love that shit. It would not have mattered in this film.
But this film yet was still glorious. We had smiles on our face watching this movie because it was so bad. Now, people out there, everyone's panning it, okay? Which they should because it's bad, okay?
Yes.
It deserves it.
Yes.
But they're going off saying, oh, this is the worst film ever. No. No, if you've seen the movies we have seen over the plethora of films you've come across, this is not even close to being the worst movie ever made, okay? But it definitely is an expensive piece of shit. But I can tell you this. Rent the movie from Redbox. Do not pay to see this in theater. Definitely rent this, okay, for $1, all right? If it's even worth that. Rent it for $1. Sit down with a whole bunch of your buddies, okay? Get a whole bunch of brewskis, all right? And watch this movie and you will have a great time. I guarantee you will be laughing your ass off, okay? You will be having a great time.
I think what makes this movie so special is how ambitious and lazy it was.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen such a combination of actual storytelling, actual taking from a mythology lovingly to an extent, because some of this was very, very, very sanitized for the world, okay? Because there's a lot of shit that went down in Egypt mythology that most people are like, ugh. Okay. They pulled from it. They had some knowledge in it. They wanted to present a story to the world based in this mythology, bringing in characters that we have not really seen before. What was the last time you saw a movie that you actually saw Egypt mythology built into it? Maybe Stargate? I don't know. The Mummy? Fuck the Mummy. Okay, so you got that. But everything else was garbage. The characters were garbage. The main characters we were supposed to be following were garbage.
The dialogue
Was garbage. The exposition dump that they gave us at the beginning was basically the perfect way to just send off this movie. It was like, okay, folks, you saw the trailer. We got your money. Here you go. I have just never seen anything like this before. I will be buying this for $7 on Blu-ray. I guarantee you. This was one of the greatest terrible films I have seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I was laughing my ass off for all the wrong reasons. I was smiling, walking out of the theater embarrassed by how much I enjoyed this piece of shit. Utter shit.
So we give Gods of Clusterfuck a 1.9 out of 5 stars.
With an enjoyability factor of 4.
Alright, that's it for today's episode. If you have seen Gods of Egypt, let us know what you thought about it in the comments below. And once again, thank you guys for watching. You guys rock, and we'll see you next time. Like, share, subscribe. Like, share, subscribe. Don't you?
Up yours! Fuck.